Welcome everyone to our official episode 1 of Homeschool Coffee Talk. I am Christine.
And hi, I'm Amy.
And we are so excited. We have been going over some stuff for those of you who are viewing on Facebook that we've had some fun technical difficulties to be learning how to do a new platform. But we've got it because Amy is amazing. So last week we did kind of an intro video that is only on Facebook. So you guys will have to check that out to just see why we're even doing this in the first place and who we are and all that fun stuff. So we do record live every single week. Why do we record live?
It's fun. Obviously, we're totally like shooting from the hip here.
Absolutely. And just because like whenever we talk on Voxer and whatnot, it's just us hanging out and we kind of wanted to give that same vibe with everyone.
Yeah, like that coffee shop vibe where we're just
exactly
chit-chatting. And if you're not familiar with Voxer, Voxer is a walkie-talkie app, which is so convenient for busy homeschoolers because you can just hit the button and just talk, hit stop when you're ready. And then when your friend is ready to listen, then they can listen. So it's just kind of a nice way to connect.
Yes, absolutely. And my husband teases me all the time because he's like, why don't you just call her on the phone? I'm like, because she's not there right now. She was there 10 minutes ago and now I'm available. So that's how we're doing it. So yeah, so we just thought it'd be fun to start talking on here about all things homeschool because that's our lives and that's what we were chit-chatting about. And we thought, why not open this up and we will talk with other homeschoolers about topics and things that are going on in our lives. So yes. So with being live, that means that we could have kiddos drop in at any moment because Amy has 5 and I have 4 and all ages 1 to 18. So any of them, from the 1-year-old to the 18-year-old, could pop into one of our rooms and be like, Mom, I need you.
Yep. Or the dog.
Yep. So with that is we are just real moms. So come along this journey with us with all of our fun interruptions and all of that good stuff because we want to be real and we don't want to be spending hours editing and all of that. We want to just be able to hang out with you guys. So
yeah, want to spend time with you. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about homeschool schedules and routines, which is kind of hilarious to me because we are so relaxed.
It's true. But I wasn't always relaxed.
Exactly.
I don't know if you were.
No.
Like, oh, no.
It was bad.
Yeah. I was definitely like a type A, super hyper focused on like, at 8:05, we're going to do this. And oh my, it caused so much stress and anxiety. It didn't work for our homeschool. It can work for some homeschools though. I mean, it depends, I think, on your personality, on your kids. And then I also think it depends on like what you have going on in your life at that time, because if you're working at home and you have a certain schedule, like you have to work from like 9 to 12, you might have to homeschool from like 12:05 to 3:05 or whatever, so.
Yeah. So that's the thing though, is like today, for instance, because we're doing this, we did very little school in the morning. I wanted to make sure to like actually shower and look presentable and stuff like that, which with a 1-year-old in the house means the big kids have to help, right? Because he is at high needs 1-year-old. I can't just put him down and have him be happy. He needs attention all of the time. So that means we're doing school in the afternoon. But if we had on our plans to start school at 2:00 on the dot, having technical difficulties would have stressed me out because I'd have been like, oh no, there goes our schedule for the day. We're not having a timed schedule like that. I'm like, whatever, we'll get to it. We have the rest of the day until bedtime to get school done. It's going to get done, and what doesn't get done today can be pushed off to tomorrow if we need to. So
exactly.
That's like the beauty of relaxed homeschooling, I suppose, is being like, yes, we have things we need to get done, but when it gets done is irrelevant. It just needs to get done at some point.
Right. And how it gets done too. It's
exactly.
That's a whole other can of worms there. But yeah, so like, what do you think like a schedule is like? Like for me, a schedule is that timetable. You know, like you have specific times, like from 9 to 9:30, you do reading or language arts or whatever. Whereas a routine for me, it's more of like a flow. It's like it's a structure with a rhythm.
Yes. Oh, that is such a good explanation. I like that.
Okay. Like I just pulled that one out.
Yeah. Well, it's true though, because we definitely, with those definitions, we have zero schedule. We have a routine, absolutely, because first thing we do typically today, we even changed the routine slightly. Typically we do Bible first. And then we've been doing Mad Libs every single day just to get more of that sentence structure and mechanics and some of the grammar and all of the things that my boys need to work on more. So of course they love Mad Libs because it's a fun way to work on it.
Oh, yes.
So we did Mad Libs first today though, instead of Bible, but it was still our sit down kind of hangout time. And then mom needed to take a shower. So we took a break, mom took a shower, and then we read a book for history. And I think they got some math done before I was like, okay, pause. You guys can finish this afternoon. And we don't typically do a lot of afternoon school, but our life is kind of changing with what we do when. And so we're having to adjust and going, okay, if we have stuff to do in the morning, we have to start doing afternoon school. Like we can't just not do school. So
Right.
My oldest son, who's very into routines and knowing what's happening when, I'm having to shift his mindset a little bit to be like, it's okay if you're not done by noon. It is okay to not start math until 2:00 because we did something else this morning. So we have to do this stuff this afternoon and just kind of have homeschooling go in the flow of our day more instead of a scheduled, structured time.
Yes, absolutely. Like we fit our homeschool into our day, not like the day. And, so like for us, we've learned over the years because we started homeschooling, I think like 9-10 years ago. And as we added boys and we've gotten older and different things have been added to our family schedule, we've had to adapt. And like sometimes we get started early, sometimes we get started later, sometimes we're doing it in the car, which I love that flexibility. But we definitely, when we started homeschooling, looked a lot different than where we are now. And like you said, we had to like shift our mindset a lot along the way. My oldest also is very structured. He thrives on that. So I work with, well, he's graduated now, but I would work with him on that, on like how he could form his own routine because he was older and stuff. And then, but also like be a little bit more flexible with it too, because in life you really have to be like, you can't, that's just how it is. Things happen and what are you going to do? So
yeah, exactly. It teaches them so much resiliency too, to be like, it's okay that this didn't work out exactly as planned. How can we keep going?
Yes. And I think it also teaches independence because like, okay, so my older two, and I think I mentioned this in the first chat we had, went to public school, and my oldest went to public school up through 3rd grade. He was very used to that. At 9:05, you line up and you go to the library or whatever. And so we had to, this sounds about like break him of that. But what was I gonna say? So like with the public school thing, we've just like learned to kind of like morph or like transform our thinking with it. And yeah, I lost my train of thought. Which you'll notice, that's gonna happen a lot with me. But yeah, so it's just, I think it helps like you as mom, but also it can help the kids as well, like just shifting like that.
Absolutely. And something that helps us that I didn't even know had a term to it is looping. And I did not know what looping was until probably like 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, we so do this. And it almost gave me like the freedom to be like, this is an actual thing. Like, it's okay. So like today, I planned a fairly full day for us. So we did Bible, we did Mad Libs, we read for history. I think I'm going to add a chapter book onto history for my oldest. And they're doing math. They both still have to do language arts. It's a full day for us because I know later this week, we don't have enough time to do school. So I'm trying to get a full day in where all of it might not get done though, because I do have to work and I do have a 1-year-old who takes up all of the attention and a 3-year-old who also likes to compete for that attention and all of the other things. And so it's given me the freedom to be like, okay, language arts didn't happen today. That is okay. We can do that first thing tomorrow and have that be our priority for tomorrow, and to not feel beaten up about that, because I know I gave us a super full day for everything I have going on. And I kind of knew that going into it, going, okay. And it's all in my head. Like, I don't put any of this in my planner. This is what I would like to see accomplished. But I also have a full day. So let's see what we get done.
Yeah.
And looping that to the next day and not feeling guilt over having to loop some of that, because it's still going to get accomplished.
Yeah. I feel like now that our homeschool is older, I'll say, that we, like, I have like every week I make, on a clipboard, I have a checklist of things that we would like to get done, or I would like to see us get done. If they get done, that is awesome. And sometimes we go like way beyond it. And sometimes we don't even get halfway through. But like just having a checklist for me helps me visualize it and like refer to it, because I we rabbit trail all the time. And so at least I can go back to that and feel okay with it. So that's like how I can kind of relax with our routine, I guess you'd say. But we have like a certain flow to like how we do our morning time and like transition into other subjects and everything like that. That it's just kind of each year I have found the beginning, we kind of like, we're just getting our feel, like finding our groove. And then that routine kind of takes shape, I'd say. So we're still there because this is our second week of back to homeschool. So, but and in each year, like the routine looks a little bit different, but it's generally pretty much the same. We also do like a looping thing. That's like more with our morning time. Like we don't do, let's say, geography every single day. But like we might hit it like once a week, maybe twice. And that's how we do like a loop type thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gives that relaxed feeling and that freedom, because I feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves as moms too, that we're this has to get done. And so that's why I had to drop like timing stuff, because when I had in my mind, even if it wasn't written out, but it was just in my mind, this has to be accomplished by this time, I was like rushing my kids through things. And I was like, okay, we need to get this done by XYZ. Where now it's like, stop where you are. We can finish this later. Not a big deal. Like they left math in the middle of it. It's okay. And we're all kind of learning that too, to be like, you don't even have to finish the lesson. Like we can stop mid-lesson and go back later. It is okay, you know, and to just be like, okay, because when I have those times, I feel the pressure and it gives me anxiety. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Well, exactly. Because it's like, okay, maybe you're doing math and you have scheduled it for 25 minutes. Well, what happens if it's only like 12 minutes? Or if it has to be like 43 minutes or whatever, I don't know.
Right.
You
what
know,
if they're having trouble with the concept and they need to take more time? That's happening to my 9-year-old. I had to finally be like, you've been doing math for forever up here. Are you messing around or are you having a hard time? And he's doing, I think, some carrying or something, but it was like double carrying. And he was like, they're making me do it twice. Or maybe it was double borrowing or something. It's double. How like, and so I'm just like, just step away. We will work on this later.
Yes, exactly. And so you don't feel like boxed in to anything. So I love that. And that's why I have my checklist, because like you were saying, like I used to feel so much pressure and like feeling like I had to do all of these things and all of these, like even like subjects, like art history, art appreciation, you know, like, and like cramming it all into our week. And that was not realistic at all. So now I try to like, okay, looking at our week ahead, because I do it by week. There's no way I can do more than that. What does the week ahead look like as of right now? Because that can even change. And then what can we realistically do without me losing my mind and feeling like a drill sergeant and a robot too? Like, you know, like, you know, like that just doesn't work for us. So that's how the routine kind of just helps everything be better and more relaxed.
Yeah, seriously, it really does. My computer keeps shutting down. Yeah. And so what do you do when life happens though?
So I used to like really struggle with that. Now I kind of like, I'm just, because I have that list and because I know, well, and my boys are older, so they can often work independently. And we do a few things, like we do an online math. So they can do that on their own for the most part. But when like we just won't do homeschool that day, because, and that's another thing I was going to mention is we moved to a year-round homeschool. So
oh my goodness.
That was like so much freedom for me because I was trying to fit it in with the traditional school schedule that like for our area, which is end of August to like beginning of June. And that was so hard for us because we wanted to go on field trips. We wanted like, my older two were doing competitive soccer. So we had travel with that. People get sick, you know, and I would get completely stressed out. And I knew that like something had to give when I had like some temperature, it was like crazy. And I'm like, but we've got to do school, you know, and I'm like, this is crazy. No, we don't. Like we homeschool. Who says you have to do it from? So anyways, so I just say to myself, okay, something came up. I have to go down and help my grandparents or whatever. We're going to do that. That's more important. I mean, education is important. Don't get me wrong, but we can do other things along the way. Like we can listen to an audiobook or whatever. It might not be like school, you know, but then I can feel okay. And like, there's always tomorrow, another day of learning tomorrow, you know, like, so that's what we do. And
yeah, well, and like you said, you're going on field trips, you're helping family. Like there's all of these things a lot of people don't consider school where they absolutely are. And they get so caught up in, we have to do this book work because it has to get done during this school year. And then they're not counting the field trip as school, or they're not counting watching this documentary as school or reading these books as school because they're not in the curriculum.
Absolutely.
And
that, I struggled with that.
Yeah.
When we moved from public school to homeschool, even to this day, I still do. I like, you know, like I'll say, oh, why don't it's going to be a beautiful day. Let's go for a hike. That is school. We are getting like PE, nature study, you know, all this great stuff. And then we'll come home and like, oh gosh, and now we have to do the math. No, we don't. That can be school. Absolutely. You know, so that's a mindset shift, I think.
It is. And I'm even kind of preparing for that because we're getting ready to go on a month-long trip this fall, which, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But I'm already trying to like mentally shift that school's going to look different during that month because a lot of it's going to be through basically field trips from the places we are visiting, whether they're historical places or state parks or national parks. That is history. That is science. That is geography. Like, how does all of that's going to look so much different than when we're at home because we've been home so much more. So I've shifted back
that's true.
More of an at home, having all this book work, where now I'm having to shift back the other way and have more real life learning experiences. And so I'm having to do that own mental shift and being like, it's okay. Like, we don't need proof of XYZ for this, right? As far as on a piece of paper, because I know you've talked about, you can have video proof or photo proof and stuff like that. Cheese, here's your picture of you holding a turtle at this amazing place, you know, and that is our proof, is we are able to take those pictures and be like, this is all that we've learned today. And it's still is a part of our routine and a part of our schedule, but how can we do that mental shift to make it look differently for where we are in life?
Yes, absolutely. And so I also had a hard time with that because I'm in Pennsylvania. We have to do portfolios and homeschool evaluations, and we are required to do 180 days of homeschooling. My first year, I thought that meant like you had to be like sitting down like 6.5 hours a day or whatever to count as a day. And, now we've gotten to the point where I'm like, no, no, we don't. But that's another thing that I think a lot of new homeschoolers struggle with as well, that it doesn't have to be that way. Like if you do science experiments, like Friday, like half of our day Friday, probably even more, we were just doing all these like super fun science experiments, and it was awesome. That is totally school, like not how our school usually looks, but that's what happened that day. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you do when life kind of just happens?
A lot of the same, of just being like, this is school. And I struggle with it too. Like I have to convince myself sometimes to be like, no, like what we did is school. And so something I've been seeing a lot of lately is just growing our children in their faith and stuff like that as well. And how at the end of their life, or even at just the end of their educational lives, right? That they are out of my homeschool and all of that, that if they are good people and they are able to share their faith and they are able to get by on the everyday, like those things are so much more important than anything that they can learn in a book. And so I have to kind of remind myself of that, going, are they going to be able to have the tools to be successful? And that doesn't mean to go on to the most prestigious college. It means to be able to know how to run a household and to be able to, save their money, to be able to buy a home, to be able to provide for their families, and to just share the love of Jesus with people. Like that's what's important to me. Not that they can do pre-calculus,
Yes.
And yes, pre-calculus is important to learn, but it's not the end of the world if they don't know it, or it's not the end of the world if they're not perfect spellers, or whatever it is. It's, are they good people? Are they going to make a difference in this world when they graduate from my homeschool?
Absolutely. And now that I've graduated my oldest, and he's still kind of figuring out what he's doing, but he's doing a lot of stuff around here. And I've just seen like the character building, how that has helped him tremendously from our homeschool experiences. And like you said, like pre-calc, I mean, he's probably going to become an electrician, which, that's all, you learn so many different things when you learn like the educational part of the homeschool, but the character building, like work ethic, that type of management, self-control, that type of thing. It's, like that, those things are important too. So, just ticking off the boxes, with your language arts curriculum or whatever. I mean, if you don't get to them all today, in the long run, it's okay. Like long term, it's going to be all right. Yeah.
And I feel like so much of what I've learned has been after I turned 18. I don't remember hardly any history stuff from my school days. I have learned so much in my adult life. I didn't absorb it all as a child. And so it's like, they have time to learn. And that's something I've really been pushing a lot with them lately. Was I found this story about George Washington, and and this is like totally a stolen story that I saw on social media. I do not take credit for it. It was like some random person sharing an experience of when they visited Mount Vernon. And when they were on their tour, they learned that he only went to school through age 14, and that he supposedly was kind of embarrassed about this because he's, someone in society, but he only has an education through the age of 14. So he read books and he read books and he read books, and he had this ridiculously huge library, and everything he learned was through reading these books in his adult life and not what he learned really as a child. And obviously he did pretty well for himself. He became our president. People wanted him to take that position because of who he was. And I'm like, that's a pretty cool legacy to have, of being like, I didn't do very well in education, but I read books. And obviously people loved him because they said, you need to be president, even though he didn't want to be. So I love that story, to be like, if you do nothing, but you teach your child just to love learning, they're going to be fine.
Yes, to love learning and, empathy and all of those really great things. Like, and yeah, and I'm just seeing that with my older boys in particular. And then of course it like trickles down to my younger ones as well. So I just love that. And yeah, I mean, the bookwork's important. I think so. I mean, we are definitely like an eclectic homeschool.
Yep.
So, but there's also so much to be said for the hands-on learning and the experiences and projects and all of that great stuff too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we both have links about our homeschool schedules and routines that we will put for you guys down below, so you can check those out as well. What are we talking about next week? I don't even know.
That is a good question. Next week's topic is, let me see if I can pull it up. That's not it. Next week's topic, I forgot to put that on here, didn't I? Excuse me.
It's something else about how to homeschool. I just can't remember what.
Yeah. I know coming up soon we have like self-care for moms and sanity.
Yeah. Yes.
So that'll be awesome. And whatever we're talking about next week will be just so cool. Exactly what it is. Let's see here. Oh, here, I can pull it up here. Next week we are talking about, that's not it. Oh, here we are. No, that's the.
Did we not schedule anything for next week?
You know what we were supposed to talk about this week, which I skipped ahead. I was so excited about
okay. Well, perfect. We'll do that next week then.
Back to homeschool.
Perfect. Good.
I was so excited to talk about schedules and routines. Can you tell? Like, I just.
Okay. Well, we have to talk about that before we can be prepared to go back to homeschool. So
true. That's a good point.
That was why it was in your head.
Oh my goodness.
We are going to get our act together, guys, eventually.
Someday.
Or we will probably just continue being hot messes for the rest of forever, because
we have coffee
is more fun. So much more fun. Okay, so we are going to have this obviously on our Facebook page. We are going to officially have everything up as a podcast this week and as a YouTube video this week, so that you guys can check us out all the places. I know a few of you were saying you very much prefer podcasts, which is
audio. Yeah.
You can listen to us while you're folding laundry or whatever it is. So it's all of the places. And we will update on our Facebook page when everything is ready, all of those places as well, so that you guys know when you can go check them out.
Friday.
Yeah,
Friday.
That's what we had planned, just hopefully Friday morning each week, but we will definitely let you guys know. What else do we have to say?
Thank you again for your patience.
Yes,
I can't say it enough.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
You guys are fantastic. And I'm already looking forward to next week.
I am too, where we will be talking about back to homeschool.
Yes. Back to homeschool. That'll be like perfect timing for us too, because I think the following week after that is when we are starting our new school year. We are actually finishing this year still.
Yes, that happens.
Getting
too.
all of the boxes checked to be like, okay, now we can officially promote and move on. So it'll be perfect timing for me to mentally get my head in the right place for starting everything and having everything fresh and new.
And we'll be on our third week, so I can share my tips for like how we made it work this year and what not to do.
Yeah. Give me your wisdom. Oh my goodness. All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And And we will have everything up for you guys at the end of the week to find all of the places.
It's going to be
All right.
fun. All right.
Cool. Take care, guys.
Bye.